We are live.
All right, we are live. I call to order the meeting of the counties of Warren and Washington County Industrial Development Agency Executive and Park Committee meeting on April 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Roll call, Ally.
Dave O'Brien,
I guess he's here.
Tim Robinson,
Here.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum, we have 4 to 5.
Great. Everybody received the minutes of the meetings of March 6th. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Tim Robinson. Second, Dan Bruno. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussion? Motion carries. Moving on, report of committees, Canal Side Master Plan update. Start with you, Dan?
Sure. Couple things. I believe the RFP has been issued for the second phase of the engineering, et cetera. Additionally, that's for the sanitary sewer and water upgrades to the site, site. Sewer flow metering, which is related to this. That has also been the professional services agreement between Labella and Warren Washington IDA was done. This is flow monitoring, data analysis, and report for stormwater separation. That's for us to achieve the 4-to-1 offset so that we can discharge to the Washington County Sewer District 2.
So I'm sorry, you said that the monitoring hasn't been done.
No,
It's been
it's just started.
put out.
No, we haven't,
Should be underway.
right, we have an agreement.
You got
That's what I say,
roughly-
this is the agreement for services with Labella. Labella's gonna do them.
Right.
Well, they and their sub is gonna do that. So that's, as Mr. O'Brien said, it should be underway as we speak.
Was Lavella the only interest?
I believe so. Excuse me.
By the way, there are a few, Beth got a call from someone, I can't remember who it was, that should we bother bidding on this, or is Lavella just gonna get up? For the.
Yeah.
For the engineering stuff.
Right.
But it's put out, I mean, it's put out
Yeah.
right. So we have.
It is
we have
on the street, as they
opportunity.
say.
Right.
Yeah, and anybody,
Right.
any qualified
Yeah.
entity is welcome to
Sure.
look at it and submit a proposal.
You'll have to bid in by the end of the week.
How did she answer that?
She just said, no, there's not. It's out for bid for anyone to look at. Well, the point is that I wonder if we're gonna get pushback from other bidders who don't want to do it. So.
So what we're seeing, if I may, let me interrupt. What we're seeing in the construction industry is because of the amount of work, people are not wanting to put the time into estimating. Unless they're actually gonna get the job. And so we see that a lot in our industry in construction and it's like there's, this want to push back the project managing or the estimating part of the company and because of expenses, and unfortunately you can't. So that's a common question we're seeing, and what we tell everybody is the same thing is, hey, the people that are putting forth the effort on the bids and are actually putting energy into the bids, we have most comfort with, and that's, so that's who's getting selected. So not an uncommon question in the construction industry.
Especially as labor gets tight or
Expenses,
Yeah.
yeah.
expensive.
Just one quick issue. I want to let people know that John Teflon has joined us online. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
That's okay. Additionally,
No,
go ahead.
it'd be technical, but we should have a big screen up because you should be able to see everyone talking.
He should be, he can. I'm looking, he can see all the 6 screens.
He can see everybody.
Oh,
You can see everybody.
He can see
Yeah,
everybody.
we got that.
We just can't see him, but we can hear him.
Heard and not seen. All right, on April 1st, I don't think this was an April Fool's joke. We received word from Empire State Development that they have approved the $4,739,000 Fast New York grant. So that is, this approval is contingent upon holding a public hearing and approval of Public Authorities Control Board and approval of the State Division Budget and receipt of funds by ESD. Just a couple little,
So it's just inching along.
yeah,
Step
exactly.
one done.
It's not approved, it's on its way to the end.
Yeah, to all the other parties, so. Anyway, there's no, I didn't see any schedule there, so. It will happen when it happens, hopefully in the not too distant
Somewhere
future.
there was a time schedule.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Somewhere there's a time schedule. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well-
let Dan finish sending up.
Oh, June.
April
I thought I had
7th.
seen it too, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
no, we continue to update the team via email on the schedule. The next public hearing should be first couple weeks of April. And then the late April should be the next board, state board. So we'll continue to update everybody via email on that. I hope everybody did their due diligence on the actual packet. It was light reading, one of the many light readings that we've had recently. So more to follow on that one, just a good start. We'll call that a good start. And we have 45 days to provide input on the actual package, and Regional Planning Board and I are digging through that right now, so. If you have any input, we would like to get all input by 30 days, and then we can continue from there.
Right, so it looks good so far so good. And
The way the state operates, I would suggest doing it sooner than that.
yeah,
Because they're gonna have to go, their attorneys gonna have to review it, they'll find some comments and send it back.
round and round we go.
Mhm.
And I think that's it for me for the moment. Any questions? Any questions I can't answer?
No, the only other part for the Canal Side Master Plan is we do owe Washington County the a bridge update on, or any input on the bridge RFP engineering. And she had given us 4 or 5 weeks. This week will be 4 weeks, so we'll wrap that up for sure this week. And I did not get that sent out to the team, but I will, because it's another 198 pages of light reading for you, the team. So that is the bridge project in 2026. They're moving along as well.
Only 2 or 3 people at this table understand it.
Yes. So, but it is great to see. It's interesting. It's for a non-engineer like myself, it is, you're right. There's a lot that I don't understand, but much of it is, we'll get that out to the team. But again, that they've got lead on that project, and we'll continue to keep the executive and park committee team appraised of it. All right, anybody got anything else for the Canal Side Master Plan update? Moving on to Canal Side Prospects update, Chuck.
So there's really not any substantial update. We continue to provide tours. There's no party that has expressed formal interest in our site, so really nothing to report on that.
Good. Anybody have any questions or comments for Chuck? All right, Canal Side Maintenance update, Chuck.
On the maintenance, you might recall, we had some electrical work that was completed. We now know we have to do some evaluation of our system and make sure we're maintaining the electrical system. However, before we do that, we're working with National Grid to clarify responsibilities with the switchyard. That work is underway. I know Kara's been engaging National Grid attorney, and National Grid attorney, I think Kara mentioned, was perhaps on vacation this week. And so we're just waiting, and once we have clarification of the responsibilities for the switchyard, we'll then start developing an RFP to bid out to do the maintenance evaluation. That's it.
The language is pretty clear, what they signed.
Yeah, we just have to get them to agree.
Let a court agree, find out.
Let's hopefully not have to go to court.
Yeah,
Money.
that extends it another 6 months or
And
2
money we
years.
don't need to spend.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, we have that vegetation underneath the tower that is of concern. And they have not taken care of that. And we've sent emails to say this is an issue that you need to rectify before the vegetation starts to grow again. So we have put them on alert.
And not to belabor the point, but now they want to charge us for electricity used. Supposedly they wouldn't go to the meter. It's their issue, not ours. How can the legs don't have the same amount of electricity going through them, so how are they gonna calculate that? I have no idea.
Yes, it's very
That's where
interesting.
the lawsuit could be tens of thousands.
Good. Anything else for canal side maintenance update? All right, airport industrial park updates, Chuck.
As you might recall, we have a company called Obex Holding that's interested in 4 lots off of Ferguson Road. A couple weeks ago, Juan and Kara and I had a conference call with the prospective buyer and his attorney. They are now thinking about various issues and figuring out how to advance their project. So really, we're in a holding pattern for that project, unless you're any Kara or Juan, anything to add to that?
No.
Have they submitted an application to purchase?
Yes, they have. Yeah. And one of the issues we're talking to them about is whether or not they're gonna do an application for incentives. And they're in the process of further scoping their project before they can figure out whether they'll be also applying for incentives. That's it for me.
Yeah.
So we had Mr. O'Brien called me and asked me to look into Verizon, I guess it is.
The Verizon Tower, yeah.
Wanted, is desiring to install a tower, possibly on the,
Can I just clarify, this is Airport Industrial Park Phase 1, the very southern lot, I believe we're talking about, is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
was
just,
gonna describe that. It's
yeah.
right across from the airport. If you know where the former SPCA, I don't know what it is now. Right behind there's a couple lots, and those are the ones that Bolts by George is interested in, but Verizon also want to install his tower there. So, talked with the airport manager, who I know very well, and if they wish to do this, they have to submit this FAA form 7460-1. The notice of proposed construction or alteration date, they being the Verizon in this case, submit that to the FAA. That starts there, and then they'll determine. And there are several issues there because of its close proximity to the airport. When you get obstacles that exceed a certain height, they pierce. There's a word for it, but basically it's the airspace. And that's probably not the best idea, as I was talking with Robin, because of no matter what, you've got student pilot stuff flying around there. If it's 100 feet, 160 feet, whatever, it's, you're just asking for trouble. But they're free to do that now. To add to this, Mr. Matt gave me this copy of this email from this Brandon Farinaccio, who is from Verizon Wireless. And it says, hello, Robin. Thank you for your time yesterday and taking my call. Appreciate the conversation, blah, blah, blah. Looking for a spot to put a cell tower on or around the airport property. I understand it will be tough to site, but if you have any ideas, please let us know. I'm going to work with my RF team to see if there would be a possibility of putting a small solution on a rooftop. So they had, I guess, prior to, I don't know, who did they contact here, you or?
No, that was through, who was
Was
it?
it your realtor?
No. Maybe it came through when Kevin Gorman mentioned it to me, and I can't remember where it came from, but as we were saying, George Pencil was still interested in those lots, and
Yeah,
George be contacted because the idea is out of that, that's not our property. So he just brought it up, and then all of a sudden, they decided that we're gonna move forward, but I suggested to Kevin Gorman that they figure this issue out before they tie up the property for very long.
yeah, well, if you like, you want to give this form to Kevin to pass on to them or just tell them that,
Yeah, why don't you give it for me? You can send it to Kevin.
so anyway,
And, you know, like the second conversation is George was interested in that property. And we're talking to Tom and, Bob, sorry. Bob about it, and George was interested in getting some sort of easement through that, and I did suggest to Kevin Gorman that, and Bob, that they call that maybe, I suggested to Kevin that maybe George be interested in easement through that property. So I just called Bob and said, hey, let's talk to George and see if he wants easement through that property or what. I also suggested to Kevin that I want to subdivide it based on where that tower is gonna be. Because there's still a usable property that's on the other side of that fence
right,
that George could use.
And to add on to it, I've talked with George, and explained that the sewer district might be willing to do an easement. And if they did, that would get that to our lot that he could then purchase and develop, but he would need the engineering review on how to develop the site and left it at that. So the ball is really in George's court to figure out if he wants to do the engineering work to understand the developable aspects of that lot.
Either access to that lot, there's gonna be permitting headaches involved. But obviously that would be at the discretion of Mr. Pencil.
Correct. Yeah, his decision making, yeah.
On both north and south ends or east and west ends on both ends?
The strip of road frontage, and I think that's called Park Road Extension. We have inclination that there might be wetlands through that road frontage access. Then there's some greater potential, I believe, for having to cross bigger, deeper, more invasive, that's probably not the right term to use, but more invasive wetlands that are coming through the sewer district property. But again, I still see that as a choice of Mr. Pencil.
So with that tower, would it be, would it be the owner of the IDA that gets the?
The tower's on the sewer district property.
Oh, okay.
Right, which is right in the middle of it.
We built that, for history, we built that sewer plant way back when we started phase one. And then we turned it over to the sewer district. Because they had the plant there. And there's still a big sewer pipe underneath that going through there, but we went back to them and said, hey, listen, we gave this to you 20 years ago, you're not using it again, why don't you just give it back to us? And they said, no, we'll charge you, I think it was $45,000 for it or something like that, 50,000. Said, no, thanks. Well, we want to buy a piece of property that, we were just trying to get it so we could sell it and move it. Their choice.
so anyway, I'll give this to you. Instructions here, and these are also list of, in case you're interested, takeoff minimums, departure procedures, and diverse vectors which you fly in instrument radar vectors. You're flying between airports, etc. Straight line. So these are all the obstacles, if anybody's curious.
More like reading.
Exactly.
So to make sure that I understand where we are, sewer district and Verizon are in advanced talks to put a tower on that plot of land, which then impacts, may or may not impact, depending on easements, our ability for our potential customer to buy our land and have access to it, correct? Is that?
No, the easier access is through an easement there.
Yeah,
That's easier access.
that's the first, the
Still-
second one. Right?
We're still not sure exactly what the wetlands or prohibition would be to get a piece of property there. Thankfully, this is not under Army Corps of Engineers jurisdiction at this point.
The other thing to add to that is we had the assumption that George would buy both the sewer district lot and our lot. But now the sewer district, because they're doing entire lease, are no longer interested in selling that lot. So then the easement will allow access to our lot, but then there has to be the engineering work to see if our lot is developable.
And I think advanced is too far down the road. I think there are preliminary discussions. They decided they want to negotiate with them, so we'll see what happens, but I can't blame them because of the ongoing revenue for, I think, about $30,000 a year for the sewer district.
A question, did they close the door on a subdivision altogether?
No,
They haven't, okay.
no.
Because I know in prior discussions with Mr. Fensel that was the low hanging fruit for him to get off the ground for more boat storage in the short term. So that would obviously have an impact.
We know how subdivisions are so easy to do.
Yep.
Well,
I wasn't gonna say it, but playing on a variance.
I will put it this way, it was a subdivision. I think that the town will be more motivated because it gets it back on the tax rolls. As it stands right now, it doesn't go back on the tax rolls.
Good. Anybody got anything else for an airport industrial park?
May I ask one
Sure.
more question? Back to phase two for your potential buyer. This is a conversation I had with Todd Humiston many, many months ago that predated any interest. Apparently, there is a belief by some at the town level that the log storage for Equistock was not appropriately granted. And there's concern, and I don't know the whole history. That I believe the way the zoning reads, it was for lumber storage, and it was extrapolated to include log storage. And I don't know if there's any intention to try to control that further going forward. I don't know if research needs to be done in that regard, or whether that's an IDA responsibility or your potential buyer.
Well, a couple points, Equistock and town need to work that out if there's an issue there.
I believe that's part is water under the bridge.
Okay.
They're talking,
But to your point with this prospective buyer, they will approach the town with a conceptual plan that have all the elements, including any log storage, which then they and the town would talk about. Do you agree with that, Karen?
Any outdoor storage needs to come back to us for a variance once so I don't know with the change in it's my understanding they're doing a change regarding outdoor storage. Is that what the town is doing to allow it? That's different than ours though. So yeah, I mean, we still have ours. Whatever the town does, our covenant, they can't change our covenants the way they're drafted. So even if the town allows for outdoor storage without special permitting processes, we still have a prohibition against outdoor storage in our covenants. So it's twofold. And I don't know if there seemed to be some initial maybe misunderstanding about if the town was going to approve a modification to its code to allow for outdoor storage, then it would just be automatically permissible in the park. But that's not the case because the covenants control over that.
but.
I mean, I understand.
Yeah, no, I agree,
Yeah.
but they had the specific concern that lumber storage, because they figured dimensional lumber would be associated with manufacturing, or could be associated with manufacturing, is separate from what log storage is.
Yeah.
But even though in this instance, that's still associated with manufacturing.
And Obex has the deed, the covenants and everything, so this is part of them now doing their homework.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I just wanted to bring it up that there's some
So the
potential out there.
change the zoning, as I understand it, was not quite what I thought was gonna happen. For some reason, they squeezed in there, it had to be on wheels.
This is the proposed change?
That was a change that was made.
Oh, this is already made.
That's already made. They slipped in there that for outside storage, it has to be on wheels. And Dan Washburn was hoping to use that from outside storage, and he's on the board. He didn't even realize it. Not on the planning board, but on the town board. He didn't even realize it. Because that's why he changed his usage to potentially put a building there.
Is that? Oh, yeah, all right. Not sure that helps.
Well, his intention was to put a building on eventually,
Yeah, no, I knew, Dan had told me that, so.
but I guess it'd be good to check out the zoning laws to see if they properly screen that stuff that, because that's the same thing they're into with, Nolan. is they had outside storage and they had conditions that they put up. So fence with a blocking in it and the trees and stuff like that, so, you know, there might be able for Dan to request variance, so he's in a particular situation being on the board. Conflicts and there's perceived conflicts. I think that one hits both of them.
Good. All right, Airport Industrial Park, the gift that keeps on giving. We shall move on. Ongoing business, Fast New York.
I'm not finished there for
You-
industrial park.
you
I
got
have
it.
something. I would suggest that when the new assessments come out, is that we go back to them and look to see with those deed restricted properties. And if she's adjusted the use of them. I would suggest that it would be in the IDA's interest to grieve those in grievance day. These are basically unusable properties. There's nothing we use them for. Why should we be paying? Why should we be paying? We don't pay regular property taxes, but we do end up paying the sewer and water on those properties, and those are both based on, at least the new sewer rates are based on the appraised value of the property and the use of the property.
Did you get any notice yet from them?
About the use of the deed
Yeah,
restricted
of any
land?
change in use of
I have
margin?
not heard from them.
In the merge.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the confirmation of merge, but I didn't know if they submitted anything yet.
Her excuse was gonna send it over to Queensbury. I don't know why it went to Queensbury, but. Okay.
I don't know if it's Queensbury.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I was scratching my head a little bit. Maybe it's because of the water. I don't know. But I certainly would go and agree with the actions, agree with the assessments and usage, because they're no longer usable.
I think we were tracking grievance day. We are already tracking grievance day, so. You're set.
There was a day to track before that.
Yes.
Have to track when they send out the new assessments.
And now he's tracking that, right? Thank you. We're good. No, it's good. It's good input. Appreciate it.
Somewhere, what is it, Not June first, it's May first?
May.
May first, the assessment rolls go up on the. town website.
Right, the tentative rolls go out.
I wouldn't wait for them to notice this. I would check the assessments out.
May 1st. Got it. Easy peasy. What else? Anybody got anything else on the gift that keeps on giving? Airport Industrial Park, Bob.
Your,
please.
the subdivision for lot, what is it, 1.36 was approved by the planning board. They had one quick condition that when the lot is transferred to Mr. Coulomb, that the 22 1/3 acres that parcel the IDA is selling be merged with his existing lot. I wasn't expecting that condition to be put on there, but Mr. Coulomb said he didn't have an issue with it and I didn't object.
That was his plans all along.
Right, and so unfortunately, he was there to say that, because I would have been okay, I guess, but neither there. Matt Webster from Van Dusen and Steves has provided updated language on the map. I'm just waiting for delivery of the Mylar
Okay.
for you to complete the closing, I guess, at this point.
I forwarded over your message to his attorney and asked if they probably have to update title at this point with that new information and I just haven't, I mean, I forwarded it all over to her, so I'm just waiting to get back from her about that.
Yeah, I think the way you're alluding to there is they asked for the note also to be included
In the deed, yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get title and we'll update the documents and then we'll move to close that transaction.
Good. Anything else? Final mulligan here. All right, ongoing business, Fast New York, we have already discussed that, continue to update everybody as events happen, and we've got a schedule and email passed around, so we'll continue to work on that. Anybody have anything else for ongoing business?
Fast New York, back to them. When is the, when are the RFPs due back on that? When's the comment period on the RFP?
So the comment period is up until
15?
the 15th.
Oh,
was 30 days, May 15th.
So that's when they.
45 days in.
Okay.
Dan said he needs 2 weeks to answer any questions, and then it closes out at the end of May.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Fast New York? Any other questions on ongoing business? All right, moving on. Review of a new application. Ally, take us through. Everything.
Okay,
underfoot
so
application.
we have an application that's been submitted to us by Mr. Bill Smith. He is the owner of the building at 188 Main Street in the village of Hudson Falls, right near the traffic circle. He currently is the owner and operator of, Everything Underfoot. It's a flooring company on the first floor. He has recently received a $600,000, Restore New York grant that he's looking to use along with financing at NBT Bank, to restore the second and third floors of that building as, apartments. 10 apartments, 6 one-bedroom, 4 studios. He has requested that the IDA allow for mortgage exemption and sales tax exemption, not a pilot.
What's that address again, please?
188 Main Street.
Thank you.
It used to be the Knights of Columbus, if that helps at all. So the projected savings just on the sales tax and mortgage abatement, is approximately 49,335 for sales tax and 21,875 for mortgage. Totaling 71,210. And that is without the IDA fees and legal fees. So he would save approximately 42-ish thousand. And, he's asking that the board consider his application.
Page 14 was the page that had on the application that had the calculations.
And this is more informational. We'll do a formal acceptance at our next board meeting.
At this point, once all the questions are answered, I will entertain a motion to move this application to the full board meeting. Any questions?
Hold on, what did you say?
Which one?
I couldn't follow what you.
Entertain a
said.
motion to move the application to the full board meeting.
From here?
Yes.
Okay. It was unclear where you're going, you're rambling a little bit.
I'm
It's easy to do.
staying out.
It is. All right, well, without any questions, I will entertain a motion to move this application to the full board meeting. Dan, second.
I'll second
Dave, all in favor?
it. Aye.
Abstain? And
Congratulations, Alex.
motion carries. Well done. All righty, moving on. Any further discussion before we move on? All right, interest in the purchase of Canassa Building, Chuck.
So for informational purposes, we want to make sure the park committee was aware that we recently received a letter from Our Electric saying that this letter is to show interest in purchasing the 25,000 square foot building that they are currently leasing. They do not have intention to buy it now, but ask that, and they say in their letter, the fact that we have equipment occupying the building, we would like the first opportunity to match any offer received on this building. This is not, we do not have any formal agreement, and nor do I believe we're interested, but want to make sure the board is aware that we did receive this letter. And unless there's any further direction from the board, we don't think there's any action to be taken on this letter.
I agree.
Okay.
You don't respond to it at all?
We'll respond and just acknowledge and just point out that they have the opportunity to buy the building anytime or offer to buy the building. And we'll leave it at that.
So I would much prefer you send this to Craig, the CBRE, they're our real estate agent, they're handling it. We should not get in the middle of this. It's for them, let them respond, not us.
Agreed. And he does have this letter and he's ready to do what this committee instructs him to do. So, yes. We're good.
anything else? All right. Chuck, over to you to pass that to Craig,
Okay,
the intent.
yeah.
Good. Anybody have anything else to bring to the committee meeting?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I'll get back to maintenance on the system down, on the substation. I do not believe we should wait to iron out who's gonna fix that fuse and who's responsible for it. That system has been untested for a while. Simeon did a brief look at it quite a few years ago, three years ago. And, we are now using it substantially, and if it goes down, it's gonna affect business. I really suggest that we put together an RFQ and go out and get a bid on getting that done. You don't defer maintenance because you're fighting about something else.
Yeah, I agree, and we certainly can start the process now, getting the RFP going. I'll draft it, we'll do the review, so we can certainly get that going. And then to your point, there's not only drafting the RFP, but then there's the RFP process itself, which will take some time. So we can certainly start the process of drafting the RFP.
You get it out, you know, you have a time frame and rule is 2 weeks to respond. Shouldn't take long to put an RFP there.
Right.
RFP together.
And this is again.
To look at the,
To sample the oils, make sure all the breakers and stuff are working. Simeon recommended doing it 3 years ago.
Right,
Kicked it down the road for a while.
as long as we spell these details out in the RFP.
correct, the scope of the service.
Yes.
And the one thing we do have is now our electric is on site. They've been doing work for us and for Kiewit. So they are, they have not expressed any concern at this time. But to Dave's point, this is prudent to get going, just to make sure everything's in decent order.
I agree with that, as long as it's detailed in the RFP and
Right.
the scope of work.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
What's
start.
the estimated cost for,
We don't know yet because it will depend on the scope, quite honestly. And there is a part one and possibly a part two. Part one is evaluating the system. And then if there's something that needs to be repaired, that would yet be, I believe, another RFP. So at this time, it's really intended to evaluate the system and see if there's anything that needs to be addressed.
and is the evaluation done by an engineer or? Okay.
A firm qualified electrical firm.
So that's
It's not necessarily an engineer, qualified electrical firm, you're
Right.
talking about a contractor.
So does the board need to approve not the RFP, but the final selection, right?
Well, we have our procurement rules. So yes, they'll need to, after we'll bring the RFP to the board for approval and then we'll issue it. And then once we have the apparent winner, we'll have the board for formal approval to award the contract.
Board needs to approve the issuance of the RFP, first of all.
Right.
It should, may not be required, but it.
So you're still talking
Not
month or
spending
two.
money saying.
Yeah.
No,
At least.
but the board, I believe, should be fully aware of what we're gonna ask for and go.
I'm not saying we should brief, I'm not sure we should brief them, but we really should not wait to get that RFP
Well,
out.
how long have we known about this issue?
Well,
Well, we asked for that full, evaluation by our electric a year ago and never got any place. So now with the new emerging issues with the heavy duty use of that property, which is gonna become more, I really think we gotta get that done.
So we are moving at a prudent speed, so, but will want to put the RFP in front of the board. And we,
Mhm.
luckily, we do probably gonna have a special meeting, vice and exec meeting next month, so we have plenty of opportunity. So just careful with the timing, make sure you got the timing right to
Yep.
match our board schedules.
Okay.
All right, good. Any other business?
Yeah, I do have another one. Getting back to our electric. They originally leased that building, rent that building, it's not a lease, for $2,500 a month. And that was with the indication they were gonna be in and out of there in 3 or 4 months, because they're looking at the property. My question is that is a real sweetheart deal at $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
I think we look at, The rating for it, I don't know what it is, I think, CB, I might wanna check CBRE, photo like. I don't remember, it was substantially more than $2,500 a month.
Yeah,
That's a sweetheart deal. The board might wanna think about whether they wanna suggest to go back, because it's now become long-term and they've settled in there,
I agree.
Still a month-to-month lease, right?
still month to month.
It is with the 90-day notice.
All right, well, prudent for Chuck to have do a fair market value, have CBRE do a fair market value assessment and see if we're undirected that. And then if they feel that if they feel that, that is something that should be brought to the board attention, have them do us a letter on what we should be charging for rent, and then we can, for both short-term and long-term leasing, and then we can continue the conversation from there.
I agree with what Dave said. I mean, it was with the understanding that it was 3 or 4 months, so.
Right. No,
We said, we'll let you have it, and somebody's in there, but as it goes longer and longer, I think it's prudent to evaluate it and see what we potentially should be getting for it, and then move forward with that.
no, I'm good with assessing it. I'm concerned with the timing with their letter.
There
It was
is,
like tit for tat, so that I'm not good with.
we should have done this years ago.
When we will,
But, you know, there's 2 ways to get compensated. One is cash, the other is services in kind.
I'm good with starting the assessment. And we will evaluate it.
And guess what they're qualified to do?
Evaluation.
So barter would be okay.
And that'd be up to the board, but
Yeah.
as I said, you can compensate them whether-
Ask our legal counsel.
I mean, that would have to be written into their lease agreement, that as part of their compensation to you, I mean, cause that's an end, that's not going out for a quote or a bid or anything like that. It would have to be part of
Stated.
some agreement. I don't know you wanna venture down that way.
And CBRE will give a range, correct? Is what we're looking for.
Yeah, they should
We
be
don't
able to.
want
I actually have before, I just don't remember what it
to,
was.
yeah, we don't want just a, $9 square foot. We
No.
want a range, like you said, short-term, long-term, into considerations.
Good. Well, let's see our BRE do their assessment. Chuck will come back to the exec committee. Anything else?
Where's the executive session?
There's nothing needed for executive session. It was just in case. So moving on to public comments. Any public comments? For one public gentleman that is there intently eyeing us.
Who's not public?
Yeah, I know. John, you had anything? Now's a chance.
No, I don't. Thanks a lot. Good meeting.
All right, great. All right, public comments is done. No executive session needed. I would entertain a motion. Dan,
Motion adjourned.
motion to adjourn, Dan, second. Second, Tim, all in favor?
I'm just gonna leave.
All right, opposed? All right, motion carries. Meeting's adjourned.
Bye, John.
Good meeting.